I come in and I give the bank, say, 100 ounces of gold, and the bank offers me some interest payment on that. They're going to pay me 3% interest. And they're going to take that 100 ounces of gold and they're going to lend it out at 5%. That's how they make their money, the 2% spread. Okay? Now that's fine so far, because I know that gold is in there, it's being loaned out, and someday down I'm getting 2% interest, and someday I can ask for that principal back. It might be 6 months, it might be a year, whatever it is. Where the trick comes into this is the bank says, not only are we going to lend that money out, but we're going to allow you, Mr. Depositor, to draw on that money right now. All right? Which means that they can't possibly be saying that I can draw 100% of that deposit when they've also loaned out 100% of that deposit. Now, maybe they don't loan out 100%, maybe they only loan out 90% or 80%, whatever it is. And that's the fractional reserve concept. They don't have enough reserves to pay out all of these obligations that they've made, especially with respect to paper currency, because usually that's the way it worked. Now, why do they do this? Well, they do this because they make money. Right? If I can loan out essentially more than I have in my reserves, by that difference I'm increasing interest payments. So the bankers are beneficiaries of this, and obviously the first lender, the person that receives that money, is a beneficiary because he's getting money they wouldn't have gotten otherwise, even though he has to pay interest on it. But then what happens down the line? This is the fascinating part about it. The market has set prices and wages on the basis of what it believes is the total amount of money that's in circulation. Along come the banks and they start generating new money that the market doesn't know about. It finds out about it because the money goes into circulation. So I'm the first user of this money. I've just received the loan from the bank. I'm going to go out and buy cement with it. And when I buy cement with it, cement is at the original market price. Now, as that money starts percolating into society, the market realizes there's more money than there was before. More money chasing the same amount of goods means the prices of goods go up, right? So eventually, somewhere down the line, that same cement that I just bought for $5 a pound is going to cost someone else $6 a pound. Now, if he buys that cement at $6 a pound before his income has increased commensurately, what's happening to his real wealth? He's losing real wealth, right? His costs have gone up, his income stays the same, his real wealth is decreased. Whose real wealth has increased in this transaction? Mine and the bank's, because we got the full value of the money right at the beginning. So this system transfers wealth. Somehow, you can't exactly follow it, but the principle is there. It transfers wealth from society to the creators of money. Well, it's always politically popular to impose financial burdens on somebody else. It tends to be politically difficult to impose financial burdens on someone who's living alongside of you, because they tend to have votes and they tend to have representatives who will take their position. It's fairly easy to impose a financial burden on the future because the future generation tends not to have any votes or representation at all in the present. As soon as you start talking about monetization of debt, where the banks come in and now buy governmental debt with new money that the banks have created through this special privilege they have of creating money in the Federal Reserve System, the redistribution of wealth that takes place through that process, most people don't understand. It happens through depreciation of currency, and the depreciation of currency usually leads to increases in prices, which the average person calls inflation. Inflation is really the increase in the money supply. The prices increase as a consequence of that. But the average person doesn't understand how this happens. And he's going to blame gold speculators in Switzerland. He's going to blame greedy unions. He's going to blame price gouging. He's going to blame everybody but Congress and the banking system. So it's easy politically, through monetization of debt, to expand borrowing beyond prudent levels. Now why is that tyrannous? Well, at a certain level, it's tyrannous. The definition of tyranny is the exercise of a power that no one should be allowed to exercise. Okay? And it's tyrannous because no one should be allowed to exercise a power that puts burdens on people that are not allowed an opportunity to be heard, an opportunity to vote, an opportunity to have some kind of a say. Right? Granted, to some extent, you're going to have to do that in the nature of government as long as you have borrowing, but beyond a certain point, it becomes tyrannous. And it's beyond that point that the present system allows our political structure to move too easily. How much, take for instance, how much has the purchasing power of Federal Reserve notes lost since World War II? About 90%. You think that hasn't had some consequence in terms of redistribution of wealth, in terms of the way the economy has developed? Of course it has. The average person doesn't see it. He can't follow the lines of cause and effect, but it's there, and his life is quite a bit different from what it would have been if that hadn't occurred.
Many people are aware of the banking system's extraction of wealth from the economy. Hell, Ron Paul ran 2 presidential campaigns against it. Yet, it persists. Why haven't we been more effective in eliminating it? Well, that's because the banking system is practically omnipotent. So instead of trying to directly take on the behemoth in an unwinnable fight, I've taken a different tack. I've learned the esoteric skills of the banking industry and used them against it to level the playing field and establish financial independence. I'm providing you that same insight through the Shadow Banker Secrets Masterclass on investment banking for alternatives. When you take the masterclass, you're going to discover how to use the cunning of the banking industry to beat the system at its own game. I'm Ben Summers, the founder of Adagio Group and executive director of Adagio Institute. Through the application of extensive knowledge in quantitative finance, risk engineering, and private securities transactions, I've led Adagio from a single entity real estate investment company in 2005 to become an innovative financial institution. Adagio now engages in a full complement of financial services, including third-party quantitative risk analytics, institutional-grade fund management, and boutique investment banking services for the alternative space. This masterclass walks you through the process I went through. It shares my extensive knowledge and provides you all the information you'll need to create highly valuable capital out of thin air, just like the banking system, and even protect yourself from market crises. We've tailored the information to meet the needs of every market participant, from the most sophisticated financial professionals to those who've never even thought about the subject. This is why we ask you to choose the profession or role in the market you identify with most before accessing the masterclass. It's structured so that no matter what your background is, all you need is a willingness to learn, and by the end, you'll be amazed by what you've just been exposed to. Here are a few examples of what the different facets of the market will learn. Alternative asset managers, such as real estate syndicators and hedge fund managers, will learn how to quickly and compliantly raise hundreds of millions of dollars by measuring, improving, and communicating the risk-adjusted performance of their investment model, packaging it under an institutional-grade fund, and distributing that fund through the appropriate capital markets channels to meet demand. Financial professionals will learn how to quickly and compliantly grow their client base and reduce regulatory risk by definitively, quantifiably measuring the risk characteristics of any asset, including alternatives, and providing all of their clients, including the non-accrediteds, access to transparent, institutional-grade, private structured products that generate better risk-adjusted performance than what's otherwise available through the public capital markets. This is achieved by taking advantage of inefficiencies in private markets that provide unique arbitrage opportunities via best-in-class asset managers. Retail investors will learn how to achieve peace of mind knowing they can retire comfortably by definitively measuring the risk associated with all of their investments, from the stocks, bonds, and mutual funds recommended by their financial advisors to hedge funds and real estate, and providing exclusive access to better risk-adjusted performance than what's otherwise only available to the top 0.1%. Financial professionals without FINRA licenses, such as accountants, attorneys, independent insurance agents, IRA custodians, real estate brokers, and marketers, will learn how to quickly grow and monetize their client base by compliantly providing them exclusive access to the best risk-adjusted investment performance available via institutional-grade private structured products. I'm talking about 6 to 8% fixed income with treasury-level risk and 25 to 30% wrap. I know many of you may not be familiar with some of the terms I just used, but that's okay. Nonetheless, they're ideas that everyone who has any interest in money should know, and everyone who goes through the masterclass will know them. As part of its public charity mission, Adagio Institute is bringing you my expertise risk-free and at an extraordinarily discounted rate. It's my passion to not only educate people on how the Fed and banking system work, but to provide powerful solutions that allow smart and driven people the opportunity to escape their shackles. My billable rate is $975 an hour, and this masterclass covers exactly what I'd tell you if you were sitting right next to me in person for 3 hours. That's a $3,000 proposition. After you've had a chance to complete the masterclass, if it exceeds your expectations, and only if it exceeds your expectations, you'll be charged just $97 5 days after reserving your seat. If not, just let us know and you won't be billed at all. For those of you who already know you're in, you have the option to simply prepay the tuition at a further discounted rate of $79. We can't keep this presentation and masterclass available on such generous terms for very long, so take advantage of it while it's still available. Just imagine what life will be like when you have the power to create all the capital you can responsibly use, just like the banking system. To make this vision your reality, choose the profession you identify with most so we can tailor the information to your specific needs, and you'll be taken to a secure order form. After you input your card information, you'll be forwarded directly to the masterclass where you can download all the presentation slides and access the private Facebook group. You can take the masterclass at any time and at your own pace. While we all continue to fight the long fight against the banking cartel, you can escape its golden handcuffs right now by using its skills, techniques, tools, and esoteric expertise against it. If you want to turn the tables on the banking industry, this is your time and this is your opportunity.